Alright guys, how's it going? It's Holly, welcome back. So I'm here to do a thyroid update, which I have not done in a little while. So I'm just sitting here by the window, kind of chilling out. Um, so I've been having some issues with my thyroid lately, and I haven't talked about it since I found out. It's been, I guess, maybe, I'd say about 7 weeks, I want to say, since I found out that my TSH shot up pretty high, and my T4 also was a little low. So anyways, so as many of you know, and I've talked about fairly recently, I have gained some weight over the last year or so, year and 2 or 3 months or whatever. So I regularly get my blood work done every year. I get my checkups. I get, all the bases covered, and I'm pretty healthy. Like I usually don't have any issues going on, except, as I've told you guys before, I was diagnosed with hypothyroidism when I was 30. Yeah, 30. So it's been about almost 3.5 years now since I initially found out that I was borderline, sort of borderline like subclinical mild hypothyroidism. So from that point, as soon as I found out, I was able to go, and I did initially get on medication just because, I wanted to regulate it quick. And so from there, I stayed on the medication, levothyroxine 50 micrograms, for about 6 months. And then I weaned off and I started just doing everything completely naturally. I was able to keep everything in check for quite some time. When I went to check again, I guess it was about a year and a half later, my TSH was still kind of elevated minimally. So I decided to go back on levothyroxine 25 micrograms. And I went to an endocrinologist a few times. I had a thyroid scan done in, I think it was like May of 2023, so just a little over a year ago. They found just a tiny little, like literally like a 2 to 3 millimeter cyst, and that was it. But it's like up to 70% or more of all adults have some kind of nodules on their thyroid. So a 2 to 3 centimeter nodule. And so that was it. So I stayed on the 25 micrograms of levothyroxine for a while. And then I decided I wanted to get off that too. And it wasn't really doing much anyway. So again, I got off of that and I went to doing everything naturally and trying out some different things. And I was staying regulated. So I had my TSH tested, I guess it was right before New Year's of this year, and it was completely normal. I also went and I had all my other tests done. I'd had my checkup, so I couldn't understand what was causing me to gain weight, because it's been about a pound a month for this went on for over a year. So I gained about 12 pounds total. And that might not seem like a whole lot, but to someone that's short, like I'm literally not even 5'2", I'm like 5'1.5", not quite 5'2". So that looks like a lot on a short person. And so for me, that's been very frustrating because my whole life is health and fitness, basically. And it's just been hard. Although I've learned a lot from it, and I've learned that, I still look good anyway, and I don't have to be a super skinny person to be attractive. So I've learned not to put so much stock in my weight and in my physical appearance in general, which has been extremely helpful. But anyways, so I go to get some more blood work done because I'm like really in trying to figure out things at this point. So this was this was about 7 or 8 weeks ago. And then that's when I found out that my TSH had shot all the way up to 10.4, and before it was still normal at a 4. A lot of doctors like it to be lower than that. Some will tell you it's okay. Mine said it was fine, but I stopped seeing my endocrinologist because it really wasn't doing anything for me. Like all she was doing, like she was dismissing my concerns every time I would try to say, hey, I'm gaining weight or I'm, struggling with this or that. And she would just completely dismiss it basically and not really give me any indication, any tips, or offer to do any more testing or anything at all. So, and she was only testing my TSH anyway. She literally wasn't testing anything else, any of the other numbers, the antibodies, the T4, all the things. So ultimately, I went to my regular doctor, which is like literally the only doctor I trust, my primary care physician. So I'm having her handle my thyroid stuff now, but she's literally the only doctor I trust. And even I don't even agree with her on a lot of things, honestly, but I'm very picky about doctors. So, we ran more blood work, and that's what I found out. Again, TSH shot up 10.4, and this was in a very short amount of time. And during this time, obviously, I was still doing all the things, taking all my thyroid supplements, doing my thyroid exercises. For those of you that don't know, I do Qigong exercises for my thyroid. I do all kinds of different things for my thyroid health. And so this is very upsetting to me. But anyways, so I decided for now to go back on medication to the 50 micrograms of levothyroxine. And so I have not retested yet. I am going to here very soon, probably next week or the week after. She said to wait 30 to 60 days, so I figure I would just wait 60 days just to be sure. So I'm going to retest and see where it's at, and I will let you guys know where my TSH is at as well as my T4. So ultimately what's happened is I went from mild hypothyroidism to full-blown overt hypothyroidism. So that's the highest my TSH has ever been, and it is unfortunate, but in some cases, when you start to develop hypothyroidism, it can, for some people it goes straight into overt full-blown hypothyroidism, but for others, it can take a few years for it to develop into a full-blown hypothyroidism. So in my case, that is what has happened. Despite my best efforts, despite all the things I've done, all the research I've done, and I still struggle with feeling upset about having a disease that I can't get rid of, even though it can be easily controlled, obviously. But I still struggle with that because there are so many people that I know that don't have any health conditions whatsoever, and knowing that I do have something that I can't get rid of and I will carry for the rest of my life is upsetting to me. And it is genetic. It's not anything I did. My oldest brother has it. My middle brother has it. He was diagnosed at the age of 12 or 13. My oldest brother was not diagnosed until just the last couple years, so he was over 40 at this point. But he actually ended up having to have a thyroid biopsy and a small part of his thyroid removed because he had some precancerous cells on his thyroid. So my mother also has a very mild case of hypothyroidism as well. So totally genetic. It's not my fault. Nothing I can do about it. So I am working through trying to not feel guilty and trying to not feel like there's something I did, there's my cat. Hey, Elvis. So anyways, yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at with that. So I am still using natural remedies. I am still trying different things. Constantly, I will always do that. I will always continue to experiment and continue to do different things and let you guys know how everything works. I don't want to be on medication for the rest of my life. I think that's what freaks me out more than anything, is knowing that my body is reliant on an artificial hormone medication that I may have to take for the rest of my life. There are some people that believe, that, oh, you can never get rid of it, it's lifelong, and it's true to an extent. But there are cases, just like with every disease, where people can go into remission, or people can, no longer have that disease. And there have just been so many cases, with everything. So, yes, we can say hypothyroidism, generally thyroid disorders are lifelong. But at the end of the day, you really just don't know And there's also constantly new treatments coming out and all these things. So I've just been trying not to be worried about it. My symptoms haven't really been anything too crazy. I mean, like I say, mostly just the weight gain this time around. And I mean, some fatigue here and there, but that can be attributed to so many different things. But it's nothing that has kept me from, fulfilling my daily obligations. It's nothing that's ultimately kept me from doing anything per se. So I just wasn't really, I really didn't think my thyroid was the problem. However, I am happy to say that since I've been back on the thyroid medication, I stopped gaining weight entirely as soon as I started taking it, which is great. I have only lost like a pound or two ultimately, but my weight keeps kind of going up and down. So it'll go up to a certain point and then it'll stop and then it'll go back down like 2 or 3 pounds and then kind of, back and forth. So I feel like that's a good sign because before the scale was not budging at all. I mean, I was like just going up and up and up. And so now to see the fact that, it's going down, it's going back up to that, set point number and it's coming back down. And the set point number has reduced by a pound or two. So I feel like that's a great sign. I feel like the weight loss is probably going to take a while, and I'm totally okay with that. I'm honestly just really happy that I stopped gaining weight at this point because that's huge for me. And it's not all about the weight either. But I was kind of having a little bit more of like, I don't want to say dizziness, kind of like vertigo, I guess. So I'm having a little bit less of that now. I was also having some heavy periods, like uncomfortable, heavier than normal, and just a little bit of irregular bleeding on the last cycle before I got back on levothyroxine. So now that's been normal ever since, back to the way it normally was, without getting too into detail on that. But so that's kind of where I'm at, guys. I know some people are really anti-medication, some people are pro-medication, and everywhere in between. So some people are going to be like, oh, how dare you take the medication? And then other people are going to be like, well, what's wrong with you? Why are you so stupid to go off your medication in the first place? So regardless of what you think, this is me. This is how I have handled my situation and continue to handle my situation. Now, each person's health is in their own hands, I mean, ultimately your health is in your own hands. It's not in your doctor's hands. It's not in, any medical professional's hands. I mean, it's important to consult with medical professionals when you need to and when, I'm not a medical professional, but ultimately we have to acknowledge our health is in our own hands. We have to make our own decisions at the end of the day and decide what's best for us and our bodies. And I think so many people are just so pro-doctor, it's like, oh, follow your doctor's orders always. Do what your doctor says, even if you don't agree with it. And that's really not a good way to be, because you need to be in touch with your body, your intuition, listen to your body, and do ultimately what you feel is best for your body. So, I mean, health professionals are very important, but I mean, like on TikTok, I upload virtually the same content. I upload some different stuff on there. I also do a lot of collaborations on TikTok, but every time I don't know, lately I've been censored so much on TikTok, and I think it's ridiculous because I don't really post anything controversial. I mean, in all of my videos that are anything, thyroid related or supplements or health related, I clearly state in every video, I'm not a medical professional. I'm not a doctor. I do not claim that any of this stuff cures any diseases or anything like that. So TikTok keeps censoring me, taking down my videos. They won't let me put up some of this really helpful content that I feel like can really help people. And so that's been a little bit upsetting. I've had issues with TikTok in the past. They're really ridiculous with their rules. I mean, like, every time I try to post a video of, like, if my family and I, if we go swimming, and my boys are in their swim trunks, they'll try to say, oh, like it's nudity or whatever, you know, and they'll try to take my video down. So then I have to go and appeal and dispute that. And then they always come back and they say, oh, we're sorry, we didn't mean to, your video's back up. And it's like, yeah, because I mean, it's just so stupid, the level of censorship on TikTok. I don't even want to get into it. But I like the fact that YouTube has censorship too, but I've had very little censorship on YouTube over the years. I feel like I can share freely. And I just state, like, look, I'm not a doctor. You know, you guys can take what I have to say with a grain of salt. You know, I just discuss my personal experiences, my experimentations, the supplements I take, my results with the things I've done, the exercises I've done, all of the things that I have personally experienced and tried. And that's all I'm doing. So with that being said, that's all I have to say really about my thyroid update. And this is a little bit longer than I wanted it to be, but I wanted to get my point across and discuss everything. So I will keep you guys posted, and I will continue to let you guys know what I'm doing naturally and not so naturally, and just all the things. So I hope that this helps somebody, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.